And even though we have never met, I feel like I know a lot of you. You email me, send me links, send me suggestions, and all sorts of great guest ideas, etc. And you can continue doing that. And if you've never done that before, don't be shy. ForThePeopleShow.com. We're available on all social media, on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. And some people have suggested Twitch. Yeah, not like a facial Twitch, Twitch TV. Sometimes we do Facebook Live TV occasionally like that. But, when you got a face for radio, you just kind of leave that element out. You don't want to scare too many people at one time, so that's why we don't do it all the time. Just kidding. I think I think it detracts somewhat from the radio talk show host. It's just, do I really want to see the host in action, or do I just want to hear him? And it's a personal medium. I think radio still has that imagination to it, and I like the behind the mic, behind the scenes kind of thing. I'm just a lot more comfortable that way. You can have cameras, that's fine. I'll play to the cameras, but I think when you kind of mix the two, it's kind of like MTV. Remember what MTV is? It's it just kind of ruined things when you see that. It's because more to the imagination. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Speaking of more to the imagination, George Bush did not hold back in a speech. He's going around the country making speeches like a lot of presidents do, ex-presidents, that is, former presidents. We're talking about George W. weighing in on whether Russia interfered in the U.S. election while speaking at a summit in Abu Dhabi this past Thursday. And he says, this is what he says: there is pretty clear evidence that the Russians meddled, Bush said, according to Reuters. Okay. Bush said. Well, a lot of people have been saying it in government. A lot of people have been saying this for a long time. He says it's problematic that the foreign nation is involved in our election system. He continued, our democracy is only as good as people's trust. Bush's statement was in contrast to current President Donald Trump, who has denied any involvement by Russians and even argued that they wouldn't have wanted his competitor Hillary Clinton to win instead. U.S. intelligence community has concluded that Russia has attempted to meddle in the election. And of course, Vladimir Putin denies that he did. The former president weighing in on all kinds of things. The DACA issue, he's a little bit different than Donald Trump and the whole deal is here. And, the ex-presidents, former presidents, whatever you want to call them, they have a perfect right as citizens to be able to comment on things that they were presidents. So, they had their own policies, things worked for them, and they did what they did. And, to me, I think you can, criticize a certain presidency, but at the same token, if you leave out the valuables about what really is happening in the election, first of all, no collusion, no intention on Donald Trump's part of meddling, that way with colluding with them to win the election, didn't pay them off, didn't give them a piece of real estate, and didn't put his Trump name on one of their buildings or whatever it is to win the election. Facebook did take money from Russia. That's true. They ran ads. And that's what they did. So, but that had very little to do with people going to the ballot boxes and pulling the lever. So there's nothing to say that they had any really lasting measure to meddle. And they've been doing this not once, but they've been doing this repetitively since the Cold War. And we have done the same thing elsewhere. Yes. Technology, though, and remember, perception's reality. That's why I caution so many people who get their information from the web to know where your sources is, where it's coming from. I got to get this give you this example because this is a true story, and I like the truth. A family member of mine sent me an email asking for a donation for a pet society. And if I'm going to donate any kind of money, whether it's $1 or it's $1,000, it doesn't matter. I want to know how much money actually ends up to these poor animals that they show you these stupid commercials. I love animals. I have animals. I don't think animals are stupid. But they're very clever with a lot of the commercials to pry on, people's hearts, okay? And some humane societies do better than others. This is supposed to be the United States Humane Society. It turns out that over 90% of the stuff goes to its people, very little goes to the pets. We're talking 1-2%, literally, from financials that I saw. They're nonprofit, and just because they're nonprofit doesn't, they're profiting. So just because a company tells you, we're nonprofit, you should discount us, look at their financials and find out how much money is going to the cause specifically. And very little dollars is trickling down. The local humane societies do a great job in your city. That's the one you support. That's the ticket, baby. They're doing the work. You can see their efforts locally. The money trail, folks, is the point. Where is the money going? Where is it being spent? And there should be more accountability than ever on every facet of government possible to find out how it's being spent. And I'll tell you what, one thing that's very alarming, and I just do not understand for the life of me, that's very, very troublesome. Talking about money not being spent in the right place is Amtrak's disastrous record of trains being derailed all over this country. Month after month, it seems like there's another crash, another CXX train crashing into this train, and it could be averted by simple technology to be implemented on these rail systems. I would not advise anybody to take another rail in our country until these systems are fixed. And I know millions of Americans depend on these trains. I understand it's a great way to travel, but it's a dangerous way. It's becoming more dangerous than traveling in a car. That money needs to be spent ASAP, right this second. And there's no conversation. No, because we have to avert the government shutdown. This needs to be priority number one, and it doesn't seem like anybody's forking over any dollars anytime soon to implement another system. It's going to another crash that's going to happen. And it's going to be major fatalities, and only when another major, we're talking more than 5 people dead. It's going to take a lot more than that to throw everybody in the river, so to speak, until they actually go through it tooth and nail. I did hear a story that Warren Buffett had started buying much more of the rails. That would be a good guest to find out, are they rebuilding the rails? You don't hear about these bullet trains. My brother lives in Japan. You don't hear about bullet trains in Germany derailing. You don't hear about pickup trucks going on the rails. You don't hear about that stuff. You don't. So how are they doing it? We might want to take a little direction from some other countries that actually are going a whole lot faster, have brand new infrastructure, and they're using technology. Boy, oh boy, are we getting left behind on so many different fronts. It's a shame. It's a shame. Have you ever traveled abroad? Do you know people that have, when they speak about how clean, how beautiful, how new stuff is? We could learn a lot from other countries. But when it comes to our transportation, do you think we would lead? You think we'd lead in a lot of this, all the technology, the cars and planes and all of that stuff came from here. The Model T and all that, we developed the stuff, and then we got other countries that take our technology and how we do it, and you got to give them a lot of credit. They do a lot of better job than us, and that's why I think this is America first in taking care of ourselves and helping us. We have been so good at taking care of everybody else that we have forgotten ourselves. We need to do a much better job when it comes to that because, man, every time I cringe and I say, God, it could have been so easy to have a computer terminal being able to monitor that train and by satellite see what's going on, and have seen that as a switching error. It was a switching error. I don't get this. You don't hear that stuff happening do you? Japan? I don't hear it. All right, next story, and I love animals, so I had to incorporate Pebbles. Pebbles is a hamster. A 21-year-old who was on a plane, Spirit Airlines, and she had her pet, dwarf hamster named Pebbles. She was allowed, I guess, for emotional support to take her onto the plane. But when she arrived at the airport, they refused to allow Pebbles on the flight, and someone told her, yeah, it's an emotional support animal, but somebody told her to flush the poor animal down the toilet. I'm not kidding. Alacosa says that she followed through with the act in order to get on the plane because she was flying for medical reasons. She said she was scared. She says, I was scared. I was horrified trying to put her in the toilet. This is according to the Miami Herald. They reported this. She says, I was emotional. I was crying. I sat there for a good 10 minutes crying in the stall. Pebbles certified by Alacosa's doctor as a comfort animal. And she had a letter saying so. Spirit Airlines responded to the story from its official Twitter account saying, to be clear, at no point did any of our agents suggest this guest or any other, for that matter, should be flushed or otherwise injure an animal. That's an official release from Spirit Airlines. We did not tell her to flush down the toilet, but she says, I would not be able to fly with this animal and to flush it down the toilet, and she flushed it. Her support, dear animal. Now, I don't know what was going on in the minds of her specific mind, if you have two brains, why you'd flush your comfort animal, your pet, who brings you great comfort during distress. I could not imagine flushing my animal down the toilet, my Chihuahua, Winnie, who we've had for, over 10 years. She's not certified a comfort animal, but she brings me great comfort and joy. Oh, she sheds like anything. Thank God for vacuums. Don't wear black pants, by the way, on the couch. Yeah, occasionally she'll go up on the couch. She's so small. But yeah, hair everywhere. She got blonde hair. Cute as a button. She's sweet as any. She still acts like a puppy. Beautiful. But she flushed the hamster down the toilet bowl. Very unfortunate. Our reservation representative, unfortunately, did misinform the guest that a hamster was permitted to fly as an emotional support animal on Spirit Airlines, said an airline spokesperson. So, unfortunately, they gave her wrong information. Well, the bottom line is, according to the young lady, the 21-year-old, Aladosa, she said that she felt it was more humane to end the hamster's life herself than set her free only to be run over by a car. She says she's considering a lawsuit against the airline. Yeah, Winnie would not be flushed down the toilet. Hamster did get flushed down the toilet. Maybe she was rattled. I don't know.